Hi guys, welcome back, if you came back. Today I wanted to talk about the violin. Buying the violin was kind of an impulse thing for me. I thought about buying a baritone since I already have some grounding in that. But if you've ever priced brass, you know why I didn't. But that brings me back to my point that I'm going to make eventually. If you just look up like the bare prices of the instruments, just shop around and you will quickly discover that the violin is one of the cheapest instruments that you can get. So I thought, okay, there's a violin there. I think I paid less than $50 for it. Any actual violin players in the audience, I'm sure, are now face-palming themselves and going, "You are kidding me." Well, I'm learning my lesson. Give me a break. You might start off paying less for like the bass instrument, but there's going to be so many accessories and accoutrements, and it's insane. Here, let me illustrate a little bit. This is my case. You will be amazed by how light the violin is. My case is full of all sorts of things that make it extra heavy. These are awesome. These are fingerboard tapes, and they come in a very attractive silver if you buy them from Sterling Violin Enterprises LLC. But it comes with these little strips that you can put on your fingerboard to mark where your fingers need to be in position, and it's got these little fuzzy things that you can mark where your thumb needs to be. And so far I've been exceedingly pleased with them. I wanted to believe, oh no, I'm an adult student. I'm sure I'm past those, yeah, no. I was not past that elementary stage. I am a naked baby in the woods. Violin strings. Now, my cheap $50 violin came with very cheap strings. When I was researching the seller on Amazon and reading the product reviews for the violin itself, it was mentioned that someone took it to a music store and they were surprised that it was so cheap because it was a very good violin. However, the strings were the first thing that needed to go. And I quickly came to agree because my strings sounded terrible. I actually snapped the E string first, and so I went ahead and made the upgrade to some of these. These are like Zyx composite violin strings by Dario. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. This is my best friend. This is a tuner and metronome, and I use it every time that I tune my violin. You will be tuning your violin every day at least once that you practice. Plus, if you change the strings, you are going to be doing it a lot more than that until the strings settle. But when your strings are still new, they stretch, and then you have to retune them sometimes in mid-practice. For the most part, if you buy a cheap violin, you will get cheap rosin. Now, you would think that all trees that would be the same, but oh no. This is terrible stuff. And I didn't even realize just how terrible until I got annoyed with, you know, the sounds I was making, and I was trying to figure out what the cause may be, and somebody was like, "Oh, well, are you using the rosin that came with your violin?" And I was like, "Well, yes." And they're like, "You noob." So I looked it up, and they were right. The crap that comes with your violin is not very good. Which is why here I have my new rosin. As you can see, it's very new. It's Hill Light Rosin. Putting that on my bow, I noticed an immediate difference. So keep in mind, you'll have to get good rosin. Here we have a shoulder rest. You know, it goes on there, helps you not strain your neck. music stand. And of course, most very important, your bow. Now, you might be asking yourself, Dina, you've already mentioned that it's a cheap violin, cheap strings, cheap rosin. How about your bow? I don't know if it's a good bow or a bad bow or I mean, I can pretty safely assume it's a cheap bow, but I mean, I wouldn't know how to tell the difference. So, but I mean, for the most part, it does what it's supposed to do. I have bow, I have sound, makes me happy. Another thing, especially if you're like me and you live in an apartment, is a mute. Now, this is a rubber mute, which there's ups and downs to mute because there are rubber mutes and there are metal mutes. The rubber mute will not totally mute your violin, but it also pretty much won't damage it. I mean, there are some other kinds. There's a kind that like sits on top of your bow strings on the bridge and it's like little bitty and you can just put it on and off. This is obviously a much heavier one and it goes over your bridge like so, and it'll do the job. This is without a mute. This is with the rubber mute. And this is with the metal mute. Yeah, probably the most dangerous thing I'd say on here is probably this freaking bridge. If you're not very good at tuning, sometimes you'll end up having the bridge like fall off, and it's scary because if your bridge falls over, one, it's gonna go flying, and two, it's going to slam the violin so loud it's gonna sound like a gunshot. I was frightened the first time that I did it because I thought I'd broken something, but no, the bridge was just, you know, halfway across the room. Just to be on the safe side, I have ordered an extra bridge. Oh yes, another thing you'll need is a pencil, because one, it's good to use to make notes on your music, and two, because it's also used as kind of a lubricant for the strings. Another important thing that you're going to need that I forgot to mention is books. Your music books. These are the ones that I use. The ABCs of Violin for the Absolute Beginner by Janice Tucker Rhoda, and Essential Elements 2000 plus DVD for strings. And then of course there's the violin itself. I have a full size, obviously. And you know, there's a lot of little things that you have to like be aware of and pay attention to with strings. Like making sure it's tuned, making sure your pegs aren't stuck. This is the G one. This is the one that sticks on me all the time. You can see I've got the fingerboard tape on there. You have to make sure to wipe it down really good after you play. And I know that I probably sound like I'm bitching and complaining a lot, but I just think that the violin needs to be something that you go in with both eyes open. I went in very much not that way. It was an impulse. I was missing the experience of music. All the maintenance accessories, the books, I've probably spent the violin plus probably 3 times as much as the violin cost in the first place. But I will say that the experience is worth it. Music is always worth it.